This video is going to teach how to play the second game of the Space Piracy campaign. This game is called Explore the System. To set up, you'll want to first build the player's hand, which is going to consist of the ace, twos, threes, fours, and fives of the spade, club, and diamond suits. Once you've got that built, you can set that aside for now. You'll also need to set up the player's health tracker. To build this, you'll want the ace through 10 of hearts. The ace is counted as a 1 here. And you'll want to build this in an ascending fashion so that ace is on the bottom and the 10 of hearts is on the top. You can set that aside for now. You'll also need to build the player's resource pool. To build this, you'll want to take the king, queen, and jack of hearts, and you'll actually be facing these down on the table, and they will remain face down for the rest of the game. You'll want to make sure that these are placed vertically or untapped. Finally, we'll want to build the 5x5 grid of cards that represent the tiles or spaces that you'll be moving through and exploring throughout the game. First, make sure you have the 6 of spades and a joker. The 6 of spades is going to represent the row 1, column 1 card, and the joker is going to represent the row 5, column 5 card. Take all of the other cards that are left over after having set up the player's play area and shuffle those. Once those have been shuffled, go ahead and place those face down and tapped. Also, ensure that the 6 and the joker are horizontal or tapped. And build your 5x5 grid. The joker will be used to represent the player ship and the current card that can be interacted with in the 5x5 grid. It starts the game on the 6 of spades in the row 1, column 1 position. The object of the game is to locate and interact with as many of the 6 monarchs represented by the jacks, queens, and kings of both spades and clubs as you can before ending the game by moving to the row 5, column 5 joker card. The challenge in this game is in managing your resources. You'll have your resources here that you can tap in order to refuel or refill your hand after you have spent cards from your hand. And then your hand is the other set of resources. Clubs can be used to perform trades, which allow you to untap resource cards so that way you can use them again. Your diamond cards are used to fend off enemies, preserving your life total. And spades actually don't have any special abilities, but you will be playing them a lot to be able to move your ship around the 5x5 grid. There are several actions that a player can take on their turn. The player takes actions by playing a number of cards from their hand. The first player action I'll cover is performing movement. You can move to different cards by playing 2 cards in your hand at the same time, and when you play them, they go into your discard pile, which you'll want to create over here to the side. Whenever you play those 2 cards, one of the cards must represent a row that you would like to move to, and the other card will represent the column you would like to move to. So for instance, if I wanted to move here, all I would need to do is take out a 2 and a 2, so that way I can move to row 2, column 2, and I would just place those in my discard pile. And then I would get to move my ship to that space. When playing cards to perform a movement, the suits of the cards do not matter. After performing your movement, if the card that you move to is face down, you have to turn it face up. As you play cards, your hand will begin to empty, and if you would ever like to refill those cards and back into your hand, you must refuel. The cards that allow you to refuel are the spade cards that are out here in the 5x5 grid. So if I am at a non-face card spade, I can tap 2 resources to put all of these cards back into my hand. You can refill at a non-face card spade any number of times throughout the game. If you are on a face card spade, you can still perform a refuel, but a couple things are different. So the first thing that's different is it only costs 1 resource to refuel at a face card spade. The second thing that's different is you get to untap that card. Untapping spade and club face cards is one of the ways to score points. You cannot refuel at a face card, a spade face card, that is untapped. So you can only refuel at a spade face card once per game. Another action that the player can take is trading. In order to trade, you must be at a tile or a card that is a club. In order to perform the trade, you must play cards, specifically club cards, from your hand to your discard pile that are of equal or greater value in total. If I wanted to trade at this 6 of clubs, I could play a 5 and an ace of clubs, because in this game aces are 1s, into my discard pile, and that would allow me to untap one of my resources. Also, when you do that, you must untap the club card that you traded at. Untapped clubs cannot be traded at again for the remainder of the game. Trading at a face card club is a little bit different. You have to pay the total value, which jacks are 11, queens are 12, and kings are 13. So you have to pay that value by playing the clubs from your hand. But once you have paid that value, you untap them just like the other face cards, and you actually get 2 resources back. But then you cannot trade at that card for the rest of the game. When you move to a space and you reveal a diamond, you must immediately perform a combat. To perform the combat, you can either not play any cards from your hand and take the value printed on the card as damage. So in this scenario, I would have to take 9 damage, going all the way down to 1 health. Or you can play a number of diamond cards from your hand, any number of diamond cards from your hand, to reduce the amount of incoming damage by the printed value on the card. So if I wanted to reduce all of the incoming damage to 0, I would just need to play the 5 and 4 to my discard pile. And again, that happens the moment you reveal that card. When you move to a face card diamond, all the same rules apply, except that the value of a jack is 11, a queen is 12, and a king is 13. Non-face card diamonds never untap, even if you manage to fully negate all of the incoming damage. However, if you are able to fully negate all of the incoming damage from a face card diamond, you will be able to untap that card. Now, usually, once you've discovered a diamond space, you would never move back to that space in this game. There's really no reason to ever do that. But if you ever move to a diamond that's face up and it is tapped, you will have to do that. You will have to perform a combat. If for some reason you ever moved to a face card diamond that is untapped, you would not have to perform that combat again. It is important to note that at endgame scoring, only the spade and club face cards that are untapped will give you points. Untapped diamond face cards do not provide any points inherently. The game ends the moment the player chooses to move their ship to the row 5, column 5 joker. The game ends in a loss if the player is ever unable to perform an action. So, for instance, if I was on this 10 of spades and this was the only card in my hand and I'd used all my resources, I wouldn't be able to move anywhere, I wouldn't be able to refill my hand, I would be out of actions that I can take, and in that case, I would lose the game. The game will also end in a loss if the player ever takes more damage than what is shown on their health tracker. So if I were to take 11 damage and I was at 10, I would immediately lose the game. To find your score for the game, you want to count up the number of untapped spade or club face cards and multiply that number by 10. That is your total score for the game.